What do you do when the entire world around you is built to turn you into someone else? Not through violence first, through comfort, through privilege, through the slow, deliberate process of giving you a new name, a new language, a new education, a new table with the best food in the empire, until the person who arrived has been quietly replaced by someone more useful to the people running things. This is what Babylon did. It did not destroy the nations it conquered. It absorbed them. It pulled the sharpest minds from every defeated country, put them through a program, and produced loyal, educated, thoroughly Babylonian servants of the king, efficient, effective, and completely lethal to anyone who knew who they were before they walked through the gates. Daniel walked through those gates knowing exactly who he was. And after decades inside that empire, lions, furnaces, kings who lost their minds, kingdoms that collapsed around him, he was still that person. This is not a story about surviving. It is a story about remaining. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar came to Jerusalem and took it. Those words are not background. They are the ground everything else stands on. Jerusalem had fallen, the city of David, the city where the temple stood, the place God had chosen to put his name. The king of Babylon carried the temple vessels back to Babylon and placed them in the treasury of his own gods. Sacred objects from the house of God, sitting in a pagan storeroom as trophies. Nebuchadnezzar told his chief official to bring young men from the Israelite royal family and nobility. No defects. Handsome, sharp, quick to learn, suited for palace service. They would be taught Babylonian language and literature, fed from the king's table, trained for 3 years, then entered into royal service. Among them, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The chief official gave them new names. Daniel became Belteshazzar. Hananiah became Shadrach. Mishael became Meshach. Azariah became Abednego. Names carry identity. The Hebrew names they arrived with, names built around the God of Israel, names that said something about who they belonged to, were replaced with Babylonian names built around Babylonian gods. This was not an administrative detail. It was the first move in the program. Change what a person is called, and you begin to change what they are. Daniel decided he would not defile himself with the royal food and wine. That is the first thing the text tells us he did in Babylon. Not a confrontation, not a declaration, a quiet, private decision about what he would and would not eat. The king's food included meat offered to Babylonian gods, prepared in ways that cut against everything Daniel had been raised on. To eat it was to participate, however symbolically, in the world Babylon was inviting him to inhabit. He went to the chief official and asked for an alternative. God had given Daniel favor with the official. But the official was nervous. "If you end up looking worse than the other young men, I will lose my head." Daniel went to the guard and proposed a test. 10 days, vegetables and water. Then compare us to the young men eating the king's food and make your call. 10 days later, Daniel and his friends looked better than anyone eating from the royal table. The guard pulled their royal food and gave them vegetables instead. The food matters less than what the food represents. Daniel's first act in Babylon was to find the place where a small compromise was being asked of him, name it without drama, and refuse, not with a speech but with a proposal, a test, a willingness to let the results do the talking. He was not looking to make enemies. He was trying to remain himself inside a system whose entire purpose was to change him. It worked because God was in it. In the 2nd year of Nebuchadnezzar's reign, the king had dreams that shook him. He could not sleep. He called in the magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, and astrologers. "Tell us the dream and we will interpret it." Nebuchadnezzar said, "I want you to tell me what the dream was and then explain it. If you cannot, I will have you cut to pieces and your house is demolished. If you can, I will reward you well." The wise men said, "No king has ever asked this. What you are asking is impossible. Only the gods know, and they do not live among humans." The king ordered every wise man in Babylon killed. The order covered Daniel and his friends. When the commander came for Daniel, Daniel spoke to him carefully and asked for time. He went back to his friends and told them to pray. ask God for mercy about this mystery. During the night, it was revealed to Daniel in a vision. Daniel praised God before he did anything else. Wisdom and power belong to him. He changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He reveals what is deep and hidden. Then he went to the commander. Do not execute the wise men. Take me to the king. He stood before Nebuchadnezzar and said, No wise man or magician can tell the king what he is asking. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries, and he told him the dream. A massive statue, gold head, silver chest and arms, bronze belly and thighs, iron legs, feet of iron mixed with clay. A rock cut without human hands struck the feet, and the whole statue shattered. The rock became a mountain that filled the earth. The statue was the kingdoms of the world in order. Babylon the gold head. What would follow, each diminished. And the rock, a kingdom God himself would establish, one that would outlast every empire and never end. Nebuchadnezzar fell face down before Daniel. Your God is the God of gods and Lord of kings and a revealer of mysteries. He gave Daniel a high position, rich gifts, made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and head of all the wise men. Daniel asked for his 3 friends to be placed over the province. The king agreed. Then Nebuchadnezzar built a statue of gold, 90 feet high. He summoned every official in the empire to the dedication: satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, all of them. When you hear the music, fall down and worship the golden image. Whoever does not will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. The music played. Every nation and people fell down and worshipped, except 3. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stayed on their feet. Certain men came to the king. Those 3 Jews you appointed over Babylon, they do not serve your gods or worship the image you set up. Nebuchadnezzar was furious. He brought them in. Is it true you will not worship the image? I will give you one more chance. When you hear the music, bow down. If not, the furnace. And what God could rescue you from my hand? The 3 men answered, We do not need to defend ourselves to you about this. If we are thrown into the furnace, the God we serve can rescue us. He will rescue us. But even if he does not, we will not serve your gods or worship the image. But even if he does not. 4 words. The center of everything. They were not performing faith because they knew the outcome. They were saying, God can. He may. And if he does not, the answer is still the same. They were not bargaining. They were not hedging. They had simply settled the question before it came to a head. Nebuchadnezzar ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter. The soldiers who threw the 3 men in were killed by the heat of the opening. The king looked in. He jumped to his feet. Were there not 3 men we threw into the fire? I see 4 men walking around, unbound, unharmed, and the 4th one looks like a son of the gods. He went to the opening. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out. They walked out. No burn on their skin, no hair singed, not even the smell of smoke on their clothes. Nebuchadnezzar said, Praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. No other God can save like this. Nebuchadnezzar had another dream. A tree at the center of the earth, enormous, reaching the sky, visible from every direction. Animals sheltering under it, birds in its branches. Then a voice from heaven, cut it down, strip the branches, scatter the fruit. But leave the stump in the ground, bound with iron and bronze, drenched with dew, living among the animals, until 7 times pass over him. Daniel heard the dream and went quiet for a while before speaking. The tree was the king. The cutting down was coming. Nebuchadnezzar's mind would leave him. He would eat grass like an animal, live in the fields, be soaked with dew. 7 years, until he acknowledged that the Most High is sovereign over human kingdoms and gives them to anyone he chooses. Daniel told him, Turn from your sins. Do what is right. Show mercy to the oppressed. Maybe your prosperity can continue. 12 months later, the king was on the roof of his palace looking out over Babylon, and he said, Is this not the great Babylon I have built by my own mighty power for my own glory? The words were still in his mouth when a voice came from heaven. Your authority is taken. You will be driven from people and live with animals." It happened immediately. He was driven out. He ate grass like cattle. His body was drenched with dew. His hair grew long like eagle feathers, his nails like bird claws. At the end of 7 years, Nebuchadnezzar looked up toward heaven and his mind came back. He praised God. He said, "His dominion is eternal. His kingdom lasts from generation to generation. All the peoples of the earth are nothing compared to him. He does what he wants with the powers of heaven and with people on earth. No one can hold back his hand." The greatest king on earth spent 7 years eating grass to learn the one thing his power had made it impossible to see. He was not the one in charge. Nebuchadnezzar died. Belshazzar, his son, became king. Belshazzar threw a banquet for 1,000 nobles. They drank. And as they drank, he gave the order to bring in the gold and silver goblets taken from the temple in Jerusalem. He and his guests and his wives drank from them and praised the gods of gold and silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone, the vessels from the house of God, used at a drunken party, raised in praise to idols. Then fingers appeared, a human hand, writing on the plaster wall near the lampstand. The king watched the hand move. His face went white. His thoughts terrified him. His knees knocked. His legs gave out. He called in his wise men. Nobody could read the writing. The queen came in and mentioned Daniel, a man with the spirit of the holy gods. Insight, intelligence, wisdom. Your father used him. He will tell you what it means. Daniel was brought in. Belshazzar offered him a purple robe, a gold chain, the third highest position in the kingdom. Daniel said, "Keep your gifts, give them to someone else. I will read the writing." He told Belshazzar what Nebuchadnezzar had learned and forgotten, how God gave him greatness, how when his heart became proud and stubborn he was removed from his throne, how he lived with animals until he acknowledged that the Most High is sovereign. But you already knew all of this, and you still brought out the temple vessels and drank from them and praised gods of metal and wood that cannot see or hear or think. You have not honored the God who holds your breath in his hand. So he sent the hand. Mene. God has numbered the days of your reign and ended it. Tekel. You have been weighed and found wanting. Parson. Your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. That night Belshazzar was killed. Darius the Mede took the kingdom. Darius appointed 120 administrators and 3 men over them. Daniel was one of the 3. He outperformed everyone so completely that the king planned to put him over the whole kingdom. The other officials looked for something to use against him. They searched his record. Nothing. No corruption. No negligence, no mistakes. He was trustworthy in everything. They said to each other, "We will never find anything to charge him with unless we use his relationship with his God." They went to the king and talked him into a decree. For 30 days, no one could pray to any god or person except Darius. Penalty: the lion's den. Darius signed it. Daniel went home. His upstairs windows faced Jerusalem. He got on his knees and prayed 3 times, giving thanks to God, just as he had always done. That sentence is everything. He did not make a heroic choice to defy the king. He made no choice at all. He did what he had always done. The decree could not touch the thing it was trying to stop because the thing it was trying to stop had been going on for decades. The prayer was not a response to the crisis. It was what had been holding him together long before the crisis existed. The officials found him and reported to the king. Darius was devastated. He worked until sundown trying to find a way out. The men come back. The law cannot be changed. Daniel was brought and thrown into the lion's den. A stone was placed over the opening and the king sealed it with his own ring. He went back to the palace. No food, no entertainment. He could not sleep. At first light he ran to the den and called out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God been able to rescue you?" Daniel's voice came out of the pit. "My God sent his angel and shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me." The king had Daniel pulled out. Not a mark on him. The men who had accused Daniel were thrown into the den with their families. Before they hit the ground, the lions had them. Darius sent a decree across the whole empire: fear the God of Daniel. He is the living God. He endures forever. He rescues and saves. He performs signs and wonders. He rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. 4 things stay with me. The first, small decisions about who you are accumulate into the person you become. Daniel's first act in Babylon was about food. Not a speech, not a stand, a quiet private choice about what he would not eat. It seems like nothing, but the person who made that choice in a Babylonian dining hall was the same person who opened his window toward Jerusalem 70 years later, when a law said not to. Character is not built in the crisis, it is revealed there. Everything before the crisis is where it was built. The second, prayer is not what you reach for when things go wrong. It is what keeps you standing when they do. Daniel prayed 3 times a day before the decree. He prayed 3 times a day after it. The decree changed nothing because prayer was not his emergency response. It was the practice that had been holding him for decades. When the lion's den appeared, he did not start praying. He continued. The anchor was already in the ground long before anyone could see the storm. The third, every king who has ever believed he was running things was wrong. Nebuchadnezzar ruled the most powerful empire in the world and ate grass for 7 years to learn he was not in charge. Belshazzar drank from the temple vessels at a party, and a hand wrote on his wall. Darius signed a law and could not sleep and ran to a lion's den at dawn, hoping the God of an old Jewish official had done something. Empire after empire, century after century. One God doing as he pleases with the powers of heaven and with people on earth. No decree outlasts him. No wall contains him. The fourth, a life of integrity leaves accusers with nowhere to go. The men who wanted Daniel gone went through everything. Every decision, every action, every word over decades of public life. They found nothing, no corruption, no negligence, not one mistake they could use. The only opening was his relationship with God, and when they tried to use that, they discovered what it cost them. What would your accusers find if they went through your record that carefully? It is not a comfortable question, but it is the right one. Daniel opened his window toward Jerusalem, got on his knees, prayed, just as he had always done. Based on Daniel 1-6.